Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The first topic I want to talk about is that over these past couple weeks, we lost two people influential to a lot of us nerds. We unfortunately lost both Kevin Conroy and Jason David Frank. Kevin Conroy, the iconic voice of Batman, starting off in Batman the animated series back in the 90s, and then going from there, going on to voice Batman in a lot of related media, such as the video games, more specifically like the Arkham video games, and I believe he voiced him in Injustice as well, and also voicing Batman in a lot of like DC animated shows and movies. And I believe he was even in. I believe he even portrayed a live action version of Batman. I think in like the Flashpoint thing they were doing on the CW, but he passed away, and very unfortunate to see it happen. But we also lost Jason David Frank, the Green Power Ranger. Unfortunately, it was reported that Jason David Frank died via suicide. Very unfortunate and very unfortunate losses. And I will say, uh, um, if you're in the room with someone, if not, then call them up or go in the room or go to a different room. Tell someone today that you love them and that you appreciate them, and actually mean it. Actually show someone that you love and care about them, because um, things are definitely very difficult out here, and a lot of the demons that a lot of people face in their life um, can be very crippling. And never judge someone, because you never know what someone's going through. Rest in peace to both of them. Two very, very big losses, sadly. And my heart is with them, and my heart is with their families. The next thing I want to talk about is that we got a trailer now for the AEW Fight Forever video game. And looking at the trailer and looking at a lot more gameplay, what we've been seeing so far is a lot of like still images and some gameplay stuff, but now we have a trailer for it. And looking at the trailer, it looks interesting so far, and some people like it. They like the aesthetic, how while it does border on realism, it also kind of borders on like cartoony and arcadey in a way. Hey, and that's what they said they wanted to do with this game, is bring back the feeling of like the old school games, like No Mercy, WWF No Mercy from back in the day. So that might be where that aesthetic comes from, not just how the characters look, but how a lot of the gameplay goes. And we're seeing a lot of characters, and I might as well talk about some of the still images we've seen. There's people we've seen before already, like Darby Allin and Chris Jericho and Hangman Page and Kenny Omega and stuff. And now we're seeing some more superstars or wrestlers, I should say. I don't know if AEW calls them superstars, but we've seen John Moxley. We also saw Orange Cassidy as well. So more and more is starting to come out about the game, and so far it does look pretty interesting. So I can't wait to see how it plays when it comes out. I think how the gameplay looks is probably going to be sort of final, how it's going to look for the most part when the game is presented. They may make some minor tweaks here and there, but I think that's what we're getting, and it doesn't look too bad. Like I said, the cartoony stuff, sort of the cartoony aesthetic, although bordering somewhat on realism, because while it is arcade style, it also is going to be a simulation. And it may throw some people off. It might not. Me, I'm kind of in the middle. They do look a little weird, but I'm gonna see how it plays out. And we also see some weapons that can be interacted with, such as like Darby Allin's skateboard or thumbtacks. Which, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think thumbtacks have ever been in like a WWE wrestling game. So the fact that they're here in this AEW video game is pretty interesting. And We even get a new cover for the game. CM Punk has been taken off. I wonder why, but but the Elite are on there, and pretty cool cover. So interesting stuff. Now, as for whether or not it will be released in 2022, at this point I highly doubt it because we just got all this stuff that happened last Saturday at Full Gear, or they did like trailers and stuff for it at Full Gear, and we also saw the images, and they have about a month left in the year, and still nothing about a release date. If it was releasing next month, they'd say when next month, but the fact that they haven't announced a release date yet likely means that it's going to be delayed into next year, which isn't a bad thing. You definitely don't want to rush it. The last thing you want is a rush game, and we've seen games rushed for the holiday season, such as like Sonic 06 or like Crash Bandicoot and the Wrath of Cortex, which came back to haunt the developers. So please don't take this, Ukes THQ Nordic. Don't take this as a sign to hurry up. No. Take your time. Actually flesh out the game, actually make it playable. You do not want a rushed mess. And the last thing that people want and the last thing that people need is another WWE 2K20 debacle where the game was rushed, it was unfinished, it was unpolished, and it looked terrible. Well, take your time and actually flesh out the game, make it worth playing and looking at. The next thing I want to talk about is that last night was Survivor Series War Games. War Games being brought to the main roster, and this time in Survivor Series, and it looks like for the most part we're done with the whole brand versus brand thing, which I'm not too mad at, and it might be indicated that the brands are going to be merged once again, but as a whole, what a show. We started off with the women's War Games match. They definitely tore the house down. It especially helps that at least 3 of those people, that's Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley, have prior War Games experience. And so they were able to bring that expertise into that match. And how funny that they're all on the same team. But ultimately, Team Bianca wins, which is Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Mia Yim, Asuka, and Becky Lynch, who returned on SmackDown. So their team won. So congratulations to them, and definitely a fantastic War Games match. Then we saw, and I might jump in and out of order, I'm not sure, but then we saw Finn Balor battle AJ Styles, and AJ essentially getting his win back from TLC 2017, which they said this match here at Survivor Series War Games was the second one-on-one match that AJ Styles and Finn Balor have had against each other, meaning that the last match was TLC 2017, and honestly, that was a match that wasn't supposed to happen because originally Finn Balor was going to battle Bray Wyatt, but there was viral meningitis going on, so Bray was out of commission. Roman was also out of commission on that show, which is why Kurt Angle replaced him in the 5-on-3. When the Shield took on The Bar, or The Miz, Braun Strowman, and Kane. But AJ Styles essentially getting his win back here and possibly continuing the feud with him and Judgment Day. The OC versus Judgment Day, having that continue. Ronda Rousey beat Shotzi, although Shotzi did put up a really, really strong fight against Ronda. Unfortunately, wasn't enough, and you kind of saw it coming. And I'm not sure who Ronda's going to drop it to. It might be Charlotte Flair. She hasn't been on TV in a while. And of course, Charlotte is the one that Ronda took the title off of before she lost it to Liv, but then won it back from Liv at Extreme Rules. And then Austin Theory is the new U.S. champion, which definitely caught me off guard. And it's unfortunate because Seth's reign as U.S. champ was very, very short. So I guess he was a transitional champ for Austin Theory. But it does make sense because Austin Theory's undergone a character change. He's not taking the selfies anymore, or he's not being as arrogant. He's a lot more driven, a lot more serious, a lot more focused. And so I guess it resulted in him winning the U.S. title here, which I think is an interesting move. And then finally, in another really solid War Games match, the Bloodline. That is the Usos, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, and Solo Sikoa defeated the Brawling Brutes, which is Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch, as well as Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. And really, really good War Games match as well. Not as good as the ladies, I will admit, but still really solid. Sami Zayn puts away the doubt out that he's going to turn on the Bloodline. The Bloodline don't turn on him. He's fully embraced by the Bloodline. He attacked Kevin Owens, and Jey Uso finally embraced him. Jey Uso is finally back to feeling Usi, which is nice, but yeah, so really, really good stuff. So fantastic pay-per-view on the whole. And I feel like since Triple H has been put in charge, or just about all the pay-per-views have been really, really solid. Coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, oh, definitely an awesome pay-per-view. Definitely a really, really good Survivor Series. And the War Games, hopefully it's not a one-time thing, and hopefully they continue to do it, because War Games is always really, really solid. And the cherry on top, Alicia Taylor called the announced for the War Games matches. Which, if we can't have William Regal, because he's a part of AEW and everything, if we can't have William Regal doing the War Games stuff, then we'll take Alicia Taylor. But the next thing I want to talk about is video game memory cards. Or it's not how the young audience here, or if there is one for these videos, might not know what I'm talking about. But yes, back in the day, kids like me used to have to use memory cards. Or nowadays, everything is autosave on for the modern consoles like Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and stuff. And I think even autosave started around PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era and stuff. But back then, you needed memory cards, or a specific card or device that you used to save data. And if you lost your memory card, you essentially lost your data. If you didn't have a memory card, or you lost your memory card, you couldn't save. And it taught you responsibility back in the day, because essentially you couldn't save. So if you made a lot of progress and you didn't save, then you lost that progress. Or if you couldn't save, you lost that progress. Either you left your PlayStation on, although not recommended. But yeah, it taught you responsibility. It taught you to keep your memory cards in a safe place, and it taught you to label your memory cards. At least in my case, because sometimes I would forget which data was on which memory card, and sometimes I would end up using the wrong memory card that didn't have the correct save data. So label memory cards, or at least keep a mental note of which memory card was which. I was usually able to, based on the other games that were on that memory card, or more specifically the other save files that were on the memory card. If I remember this save file was on this memory card, then I was like, oh, okay, so yeah, so this is the memory card I need to use. But yeah, it taught responsibility, and it got me thinking about it, because shout out to my boy Almighty Dante. Go follow him on Twitch at Almighty Dante 716. We were talking about memory cards the other day and how it taught responsibility and everything. And yeah, back then you had to be responsible for the memory cards. Now there's other ways to teach responsibility to the younger audience. That's not to alienate them or anything, but definitely for me, for my generation, the memory cards taught you to be responsible and to keep up with stuff. And I'm glad I was able to learn that lesson, even if it's something that could be seen as arbitrary as video games. And the final thing I want to talk about is problem solving. And so to look up, as I often do, the dictionary definition of problem solving, which, if there is one, or we got the wiki definition. So it says problem solving is the process of achieving a goal by overcoming obstacles, a frequent part of most activities. And Honestly, it's a little bit self-explanatory. You solve your problems, but how do you go about doing that? Well, one of the first steps is addressing that there's a problem, and then you brainstorm ways to try to overcome that problem, and then you overcome the problem. Some problems are a bit easier to solve than others. Some problems may take a little bit more time, but learning how to effectively problem solve, learning how to find the path of least resistance and be able to overcome your obstacles will work out for you in the long run. And being able to take an obstacle that may seem big and break it down to size until you overcome it is something that is very useful, very beneficial. It's what a lot of jobs are looking for. They're looking for problem solvers, people who are able to figure out a problem and go about solving it. They're also looking for people to solve problems in a creative way, to think outside the box when it comes to problems that need to be solved, and being able to problem solve and being able to deal with difficulties in life. It's not always easy, but it is very necessary. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this episode, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments your reaction to anything I talked about in this video, and I will see you guys later. Peace.